I'm like Lee, I want to be next to the news anchor because I want to go above and beyond to be there and report and make sure that make sure those people get the right resources, make sure the right leadership is provided. Number two, our community. Anytime you go to your community, you should ask yourself two questions. Number one, when someone comes to your community, you should always ask them, or they should ask you, what will I see? And when they leave your community, what assessments will they have? Number one, some things that we look, as we see and we look at our community, we see blight, we see streets that are unpaved, we see potholes, we see uneven roads. I mean, those are things that need our immediate attention. I want to be the one to go above and beyond to do just that, and to lead on a higher standard. As a matter of fact, that is my mantra for going forward, a higher standard. Number three, our children. Let me repeat that. Our children. Our children are very important here. They always have been and always will be. I have to take a page out of Rondé Mitchell's book. I think that he's done an excellent job in terms of working with kids, with Trim State Community College. What better way to model that and bring that to District 5? I think we need something like that as well in our district. So again, that is my three main topics that I would like to move forward with. A little bit about me. I'm married. I have 3 kids. I'm from Mobile, Alabama, but I live here in Montgomery and I'm not going anywhere. Montgomery is my home. I currently work as a logistics analyst for the U.S. Department of Defense. I'm a graduate of Alabama State University. I also have an MBA from the University of Alabama, Manderson Graduate School of Business. I also served in the Army. I'm also a Army Reservist, officer, I'm a captain, and I'm due to get promoted here in the next couple of months to major. So I'm also served as the Homeowners Association Vice President and President of the Homeowners Association of McGee Place. So I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm ready to go above and beyond and to place District 5 on a higher standard. Thank you.
Andre Ruffin.
Andre Ruffin, R-U-F-F-I-N, like David Ruffin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johnny Cotton. I grew up in Central Florida to a single mother in a working class neighborhood. My mother instilled in me numerous values, but the top 3 that I take from her is the first one, put God first. Everything that you do, get a good education, treat people fairly, treat people the way you want to be treated. After high school, I moved to Montgomery, Alabama to attend Alabama State University. I came here on a 4-year music scholarship. Music was my major, and I quickly learned that I needed to change that major because it takes so long to graduate in music. I then changed my major to criminal justice. While I was at Alabama State University, I applied for a job with the city of Montgomery and was hired in 1992 as a Montgomery police officer. I have a master's degree from Auburn University, Montgomery, in criminal justice, and I'm finishing up my final stage of my doctoral degree at Walden University, Public Policy Administration. My dissertation is the perceived effect of the Florida Stop and Frisk law on men of Afro-American descent. As a police officer in the city, I worked in multiple bureaus with the Montgomery Police Department. I spent over 20 years there. Started out in patrol, traffic, juvenile, school enforcement, and my latter years I became the internal affairs investigator for the entire city of Montgomery. I was responsible for all 2,500 employees for this city. I also helped create what is now known as the Office of City Investigations for the city of Montgomery. I was the first African-American investigator in that office and remained the only male African-American investigator in that office for almost 8 years. So it's been a long road. I've been very active in this community for years. It's like coming home when I see Democrats. I was a member of this party. It was this party who selected me in 2008 to be their Democratic nominee for school board. I ran against Heather Sellers in 2008. I was Democratic nominee, nominated by this board, got almost over 5,000 votes. I no longer live in that district. We have a new representative who I think is doing a good job in that district. That's why I chose not to run again as for a school board. I also served as the vice chairman for the Montgomery County Democratic Executive Committee, 2006, 2011. so I'm familiar with the Democrats. I've been a lifelong Democrat. District 8 needs someone who has the Democratic philosophy to represent them. Currently, that doesn't exist for the District 8 councilman. Democratic philosophy is very important because we need someone that understands that government is used to assist the citizens. Don't use government to harass citizens. Currently, and maybe we'll get into that, this councilman has proposed an ordinance to pay police officers, which I was once part of, spent over 20 years to pay them off duty to write traffic tickets to our citizens in the city. Our citizens are already in a financial hardship. We don't need that. We don't need the city to increase their revenue on the backs of poor people. Do not need that. I'm looking for a more stable government for a city council. More stable government means assessing city taxes, city boards. If you look at the city boards, we have over 50 city boards. If you look at the makeup of those city boards, we have people serving on those boards who are deceased. Deceased. Now, it's not Mayor Reed's responsibility. When we elect city councilmen, they have 9 votes to upgrade each one of these boards, to select someone to serve on each one of these boards. And when you have 9 councilmen, when some of these boards don't even have 9 seats, some of them have 2 or 3 seats. Some of them have people that has been sitting on their boards for 10, 20, 30 years. But yet we're talking about a citizen review board, which I agree with. Thank you, Mayor Reed, for proposing that. We want to limit that to 2 years. But we got people making decisions for us that have been there forever, pretty much, so to speak. Hope I haven't frightened anyone. I'll get more into my platform as we go along. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction of myself, and hopefully you'll consider it. Thank you. District 8.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marquette Johnson. I am running for City Council District 2. So I am native born here in Montgomery, Alabama. I grew up in public housing. I attended the public school system, and Mr. Davis was actually one of my principals at Houston Hill. I did leave and join the military after 13 years. I came back home. What made me want to run was, or what made me decide to run is, during my time in the military, I would come home and visit on leave, and I noticed a slight decline in Montgomery, and I just couldn't understand why. But you know, Montgomery is home, so of course I'm going to continue to come back. After graduating from college, I did move back home, and I jumped right in and, you know, just started helping out within the communities. I assist with the Montgomery Housing Authority because, as stated, you know, growing up in public houses, we have a bad stigma about us. People just assume that we won't make it. We are limited. However, I am here. You know, I'm a homeowner, so I assist with the Ross program and the FSS program, where through my real estate company, we assist personnel on the housing voucher to purchase homes. We also give them training as well. So I decided to run because we need positive change in Montgomery. My platforms, of course, will be first responder expansion. So of course we know that we are short in all areas. And hoping with the Citizen Review Board that we are able to come together and show the citizens how hard the police officers are working, and you know, of course, gain more respect for what they do. So with this, the citizens will gain more respect for the police officers, and you know, they'll be able to assist more. You know, I really believe in, you see something, say something. Do not be afraid. My next is going to deal, of course, with the youth. I grew up, I'm a club kid, so I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club. And because of the Boys and Girls Club, I am here today, of course, with, you know, the help of God and, you know, some tragedies that have happened within my life. Instead of being down, I decided to use those as a stepping stool to bring me where I am today. So when it comes to our children, we need nonprofits and more communities, services that truly, genuinely care about our youth. Because if we're not putting something positive in their hands and giving them something to do along with those skill sets, they're going to find them something to do. And 9 times out of 10, as we see with our demographics now of the youth, it's not going to be legal and it's not going to be good. So I would definitely like to continue to help our youth. And what we have to realize is, yes, we are the adults, but children have opinions. It's with them. They are our most affected age group right now. So why not ask the children, what can we do to help you? What do you think needs to be changed? And I do that with the children, especially my kids. My kids have opinions, and I have found it helpful. You know, they understand more because they're with other children. My next platform will be economic development through entrepreneurship. I am a local entrepreneur, so I understand what it means to be a small business and not necessarily have the funds. So I know that helping with entrepreneurship, if we can create funds for locally owned businesses, we can come back some of the Black properties that we do have in the city. You know, we can give grants out or give funding to these local entrepreneurs to move into these Black properties, and they'll be able to maintain them. I also understand that, you know, we need to have something in place that when an out-of-town business or homeowner is coming into Montgomery to purchase these buildings and homes, there needs to be a game plan as to what they're going to do with these buildings and these homes once, you know, they leave, instead of just leaving them unattended, and that's going to, of course, bring in a crime. You know, and I definitely I'm a veteran, so veterans are near and dear to my heart. I am working with the Peers program so that we can extend it to help our homeless veterans as well. We made a one-stop shop, of course, with the American Legion. But most importantly, it's going to be unity. Yes, I live in District 2. I am District 2, but I am Montgomery. I have ties to all 9 districts in Montgomery. So in order for Montgomery to thrive and be better than what it is, we all have to be able to come together to work together so that we can go ahead and move forward.
Right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Richard Williams. I currently serve as the lead pastor of Metropolitan United Methodist Church. We're located in the Gaston Avenue, and I'm also the founder of the Beacon Center, which is an 8,000 square foot of help with over 33 different services that are servicing the entire River Region area. You know, when I thought about the opportunity to be able to engage in service in a different way, where my heart was really connected to those that I was already serving. I thought about the young man who dropped out of high school and who said he wanted to have a job. And I thought about where I decided to buy a home and where I spent most of my largest investment of my own life buying a home at 29. It was in Delrata. And in that space, I thought, could I make a phone call? Could I create change in that space? And I found that it required leadership. And so my platform, I'm running on the idea that we need to build a bridge in District 2. When we think about the first African-American business that was a restaurant, Eastbrook Cafe, sitting down talking to that owner, Reverend Plum shared with me that he was the only Black restaurant all the way from one street, and he was by himself, and he had no space to create conversation or dialogue as a business owner. I believe that needs to change, and that's why we have the point of commerce, that we need to create space the same way as the Downtown Business Association gathers together. Why in the world, those who are in District 2, who are business owners, who are making it happen, why are they not able to collectively come together? I do believe the mayor has great progress and great programs that are happening, but we need a bridge. We need access to those programs. The second space is that growing up in high school, I served with 1-800-SUICIDE, answering suicide calls for those who were deciding to commit suicide. And in that, I saw complete trauma and chaos. And even at the Beacon Center, as we offer counseling services to K through 12 and adult services, as we were doing those services, I realized that we need those same services here in Montgomery. But when we also look at the area of crime, we know that you just don't need more police officers. Currently, right now, in the recruiting area of police officers, if you talk to the recruitment department, they will tell you that they're having difficulty recruiting police officers. It's not because people are not available, it's because the psychological test has changed. People are not well enough to serve as officers. And so what we believe is that first responders. And that's why I believe that if we're going to expand in any area of social service, we need to undergird the wounded healer. those who avail themselves, and use nonprofit collaboration to make that happen. And we do that through our area of community. Growing up, when I graduated from Morehouse College, I worked with a nonprofit called East Atlanta Kids Club. They were the first nonprofit in the city of Atlanta to partner with the city and to take ownership of a community center. What the city of Atlanta figured out, and what I believe that Montgomery already knows, is that the city can't do it all. We need collaboration. And so I believe that we need for-profit and nonprofit collaboration and services, not just to young people. When you look at currently at the STD rate, the highest rate is for those who are 55 and above. And so we're going to care for our young people. We also need to care for those who are caring for them. So we need programs not only for young people, but also for seniors. And I believe community centers are a great space for that. Let's build a bridge in District 2. My name is Richard Williams, and I'm offering myself of service to expand my service in service to you.
Thank you. If you'll cut that one off, I think I'm learning how to work this. Testing. Great. You know, Montgomery's okay. Montgomery's okay. Let's give them a hand. Wow. I'm glad I don't have to make a decision between you all. Not all of you anyway. Thank you all so very much. At this time, we will entertain questions from our audience, virtually or in person. Are there questions? Yes.
I don't know if I need to use a microphone.
Direct your.
I didn't know if I needed to use
Oh,
a microphone
okay.
for them to hear me.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. We have to play. Yeah.
My question directly is with some of what you talked about with youth and communities. And the question is, do you think that Parks and Recreation is supposed to be a revenue generated amenity, or is it just an amenity of service to community? And if so, how would you continue to fund that so that you can redo what was undone 10 to 15 years ago by shutting all those programs down because they didn't make money?
Okay, thank you. All right. Who did you direct that question to? Any of them or all of them? Okay, so go ahead. Anyone wanting to answer that? Raise your hand now so you get the mic.
Thanks for your question, ma'am. Part of my duty as the Internal Affairs Investigator for the city was to investigate Parks and Recs, to update their policies and procedures as well. As far as a revenue generating entity, I disagree with that. I think that there are funds that have been allocated that go directly to Parks and Rec. They have their own budget as a city department. So what they need to do, but we also have to keep in mind, they have to upgrade the equipment. I disagree with them shutting down these community centers. As a school enforcement officer with the city of Montgomery, I used to love to go in there and talk with those kids. Back in the day, I was with McGruff, the crime dog that we had in the city. Educating these kids, allowing these kids somewhere to go after school and even before school. Because at some of the schools I had, say McKee Junior High, they had community centers there. Houston Hill had a community center. McIntyre had a community center. So they were scattered out throughout the city. And these kids, who are now adults, grew up in this. Now their kids don't have a place to go. So we need to, what I plan on doing is revisiting that, and let's see about reopening some of those centers and even building new and better centers. Because now, back from the days when I first started, you have more technology that's out there. These kids need to understand how to use laptops. What's the difference between a laptop and a desktop? They have that in school, but they also need to understand things that the community center will teach them. Camaraderie, how to get along with one another. I grew up in a community center. That's the place we look forward to going to about 4 or 5 in the evening and staying till the street lights came on, so to speak. So yes, I agree with that, and I plan to revisit that as a councilman and see about reopening those centers and actually building more centers.
So for me, I'm one of the ones that attended the community centers. And of course, for us, it was always free. And I think we have to think about, the families, our low-income families that cannot afford it. So, you know, just like the Boys and Girls Club, the Boys and Girls Club take donations, you know, so it's definitely more about, you know, staying within the budget, revisiting their budget line and see exactly what they're doing with the money so that we can bring some of these back, because if we do have a safe place for the children to go, they definitely will, you know, stay out in the streets. So that is, like Mr. Cotton said, something that does need to be revisited. And, you know, there are a lot of upgrades that are going to be required. So it's just, let's see how it goes, visit the budget line and see what we can do from